on. It is fuller, and you guys know what time it is. It's time for us to air it out. And today, we have been so blessed to have Mr. Joe Kavanagh with us. But before we go into you getting to know who Joe is, let me let you know a little bit about Airing It Out. Airing It Out is a safe space that we have created so that we can give knowledge to those that may be unclear to where they're going right now in their world. And we bring a vast amount of knowledge from people from all over the world that not only come with their accolades and the things they've accomplished, they come with an authentic story to tell you and me and give us nuggets. And today, Joe is full of nuggets. He's like that hard candy, you got it as a kid and you break it and the ooey stuff comes out. There's a lot for him to ooh out on us today. So grab your pen, grab your pads, and come in, lean into this thing, and let's learn today. And the reason I asked you guys, I'll say it again, reiterating this because I said every show, but I want to make sure we get the importance of writing these things, because that motor cortex that we have, motor skill, is in our cortex of our hands and our brains. So when you're writing, it gives you more connection to what you are what you're learning than us just merely pecking on the keyboards. Because on the keyboards, the letters are already there. But when you're writing, you have to form the letters. So that is so important. So let's write these nuggets down. Let's jump into this thing and see what Joe Kavanagh bring to us. Joe, just to give you just a little briefness about Joe. Joe is a realtor. He's also he's a real estate trainer. He's a coach and a mentor, an expert in sales and communication training. Yes, you guys believe that. He's certified as a NLP coach, bank and ISO coach. He's licensed and certified in bank and coach and training. So with that to be said, this guy has came and overcome a six-figure income earner as an award-winning realtor. This we got to hear how Joe got to these things. And let me not sidestep on Joe. Joe is also a co-author of a new book that he's going to share with us as well. So sit back and enjoy it as Joe airs it out. Take it over, Joe.
All right, LaTanya. Wow, that was quite an introduction right there. I loved it. And I love the preface of your show as well. So we're all helping each other get better, aren't we?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So do tell us about Mr. Kavanagh. Tell us, Joe.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm Irish, first of all. So I don't know how many days you have for me to tell stories, but I can go on and on, as you know. And we've had some good times in the past when we've been together, LaTanya.
Yes.
And okay, where I am today, like you just said, I've been lifelong sales professional and an entrepreneur over 40 years now. Mm-hmm. And through that time, I bought and sold multiple successful businesses. And currently, I own a training and coaching business where I help people or business owners take it from here up to wherever they want to go. Mm-hmm. And I put all my 40 plus years of experience, expertise, and yes, mistakes, put them all together so that people can learn more efficiently than I did. Because back in the day, before the internet, it was pretty much school of hard knocks, as they say.
Yes. I can concur with that.
Yes. So that's where I am today. Didn't start out that way. Mm-hmm. So as I say, I'm Irish. I was actually born in Dublin, Ireland. And at the very young age of 6 months old, my family immigrated to the States and settled in the Boston area. So I grew up there. So if you hear an accent, it's more than likely that Boston area accent. So it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, as they say, but it's there for sure. And then I'm number 6 of 7 children, and I have 5 sisters, 1 brother. So grew up around women, and as it turns out, I've realized all my life I'm very comfortable around women and that feminine energy and all. So that has helped me through life. I didn't realize it, but it was helping me. And when I was 29, I decided I did not want to work and punch a clock and be told what to do every day, when to show up, what you had to do, when you go home. And it just saying I was working my life away. And I'm also a bit of a rebel. I don't like being told what to do. So
probably got a little bit of that in us.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of it of that in me. And anyway, I just get tired of working for the man, making him money. I said, there's got to be a better way. So I quit my job and bought a business, and that started me off. And I made a vow at that time that I would never punch a clock again. And as fate would have it, I have not. I've been successful on my own. So things evolved.
On that, yes.
I've owned all kinds of businesses. I started out on the campground because we love to go camping. Didn't know how to run a campground, but my thought was, you know what? Somebody else did it. I can learn. And so we did. And then we sold it, and we ended up buying a Christmas tree farm. So the Christmas tree sales, as you know, is seasonal. So I needed something to do the rest of the year. And that's how I first got into real estate. Local agency, where in the town we have the campground, said I did a great job selling it because we sold it on our own to the town for a beach. And she said, hey, come work for me. You can make money that way. So that got me into real estate. Eventually, I moved from sales over to real estate appraising, where you go out and value the homes for the banks and whatnot. And then after our parents passed away, my wife at the time and I, she had wanted to move south and get out of the cold in New England. So we ended up in Charleston, South Carolina, and thought, yeah, we'll give it a year, see how it goes. So far, so good. And it's been 30 years, going on 31.
Wow. Okay.
So I think I tell people, I think we'll stay. So anyway, life went on from there. And when I came here, I said, well, I'm either going to get my appraisal business going or my real estate sales business going. And as it turns out, the appraisal side took off rapidly. And within 3 or 4 years, I grew to have the second largest firm in town, and had a great reputation because I stuck to my integrity. And whereas a lot of appraisers at the time were bowing to lender pressure to get values on a house so they could make their loans work and get their commissions, I told them, I said, look, value's just not there. And then, of course, the market crash came, and those people who weren't in high integrity ended up going out of business. And fortunately, I survived. So lesson 1 is always be in your integrity. Don't try to manipulate anything, because it'll come back to bite you. What's that called? Karma?
Karma. Yes.
Or as we say in Boston, karma.
Karma. All right, you guys. That's the first nugget from Mr. Joe Kavanagh. Integrity. Integrity.
Absolutely. Got to be in integrity. And probably that goes 1A or 2. I would say be truthful. Because when you're not truthful, again, that'll come back to bite you in the end. Truth always comes out, doesn't it?
Yes. One way or another.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So as it turns out, I survived the market crash of 2008, the real estate crash. Not in a good way. I mean, yeah, I got into a lot of trouble financially as well, just like everybody else did. I had a lot of investments that went belly up because of the crash. And I thought, here I am, mid to late 50s. My life is over. I mean, I ruined it. I had my chance and I blew it. But
like this is, excuse me, like this is my life. This has defined my entire life. That's that feeling you got, right?
Yeah, exactly. I did it. I did it on my own. I became successful, and then boom, with things that were out of my control. It was, nationwide, worldwide, actually, and they changed the rules, and all those rule changes hurt my business. Just to make a long story short. And so that caused a lot of other problems too, because as I say a lot in my talks when I talk live is personal problems filter into your business.
Yes.
Business problems filter into your personal life. They're interwound. It's almost impossible to separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
So the stresses of the business failing, whatnot, and my kids were going to college at the time, had a lot of expenses, and of course that financially it hurt, but also it became the beginning of the end of what was my 37-year marriage.
Mm.
So it hurt personally that way.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on that, they say the universe works for you, not things happen for you, not to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought everything was happening to me, and not
Mm-hmm.
in a good way. It's like, oh, woe is me. Why me? Why nobody else? Why me? Well, soon found out we're all the same. We all have our trials and tribulations.
Yes, we do.
And how it made me what I am today. It's all those experiences were happening for me.
Mm.
And it took me till I was 60 years old to realize that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you for making, that statement, that it took you almost 60 years old for you to come to this place that you're at now. And with the trials, the ups, the downs, you still made it. So is it safe to say that you never give up to our guests?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I was very fortunate in that same time period. That's when I met my current wife, Cindy, and Cindy.
Yes, yes.
And
Cindy, lovely Cindy. That's my own personal Cindy Lou. I love
yeah,
Cindy.
there are
Spirit.
a few people that call her that, Cindy Lou. So she doesn't go by that, but
No, she doesn't go by that, you guys. That's a personal thing.
exactly, yeah. But as you can attest to, she is just a wonderful person with a fabulous spirit, and
Yes, she is.
doesn't hate anybody or anything. She finds the good in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she changed my life around. I mean, I turned 180 degrees. I'm not going to lie. Before, I'll give you an example. Before that, I was always frustrated. Everybody's wrong. I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they do this my way? If we just did everything my way, we'd all get along. That sort of attitude.
Yeah.
I was the road rage guy that would flip you off and cut you off and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she showed me the other side of life, the good side, the positivity of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had so much negativity in me, and some anger, actually, anger and guilt, I would say. And she brought that out of me and exposed it for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And those were hard lessons. And keep in mind, I'm, at this point, 60 years old. You think you know everything, right?
Of course, you set in your ways, And I
Yeah.
thank you for saying that she helped you to change, because the work was in for you.
Absolutely.
You had to do that work. Because
Yes.
sometimes people in persons, us as people in persons, we will get the tools or have the help or the opportunity to change, but we want that thing or that person to do it. But we all have to put our own work in it.
Yes.
Agree.
Yes, exactly. They can't do it for us. Nobody else can do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that, I think that, oh, woe is me, why is this happening to me attitude is self-defeating, because it's what you're telling your conscious and your subconscious and your subconscious to think.
Mm-hmm.
And your subconscious, I've learned, doesn't know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm. No.
So if you tell it you're miserable and everything happens against you, that's exactly what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, words are so powerful. And that's a lesson I learned as well. So one of the authors that Cindy had introduced me to has become one of my favorite. His name is Wayne Dyer. And I think most people are familiar with him.
Yes,
and one of his quotes has become my daily mantra. And it is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Can you repeat that one more time for us, Joe?
Sure.
So all of us can grab that. And
absolutely. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Mm. And the author was Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer. Yes.
Mm.
Yep. I
Thank
Google him. He's written, I don't know, 15 or 20 books. They're all fabulous. I've read them all. And he's just such a wise man, and just puts a positive spin on everything. And one of the things that I like about him too is he will tell you that when you're in your integrity and things are going well, you are in spirit.
Mm.
And then he even talks about the word, when you are in that mood, you're inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is inspired? What does that word mean? It's in spirit. That's
Mm.
where we get inspired from.
Yes.
So some of the simple things, and yeah, it just, those kind of things resonated with me.
Okay.
So I took them to heart, and yes, it was a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing meditations, and that became my ritual every morning, which it still is to this day. And what it does for me when I do it first thing in the morning is I can sit there and listen to myself and say, okay, did any kind of negativity creep in overnight?
Mm-hmm.
And your dreams or just your thoughts when you wake up in the middle of the night worrying about something.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And I just sit there and say, okay, let's look at that a different way. Change
Yeah,
the way you look at it.
I have a pastor. Well, she's actually my pastor, Latoya McCoy. She uses in reference to what you're speaking as small little foxes. They're small, so if you like, you don't take that time, and you're like you're doing with your meditation, to see them and recognize them, they become big foxes.
Oh yeah, they'll grow
Yes.
because they're eating all the time, and they're taking more information from you. So what my meditation does is I will take that negative thought and I let it go back out to the universe.
Mhm.
Just release it. And my wife has a saying, which I love, is eat the chicken, spit out the bones.
Yes, yes, I've heard her and Brigida say that. Yes, yes,
Yes, yeah. So take in what's good, but let go of what is not good.
yes.
And when you let go of one thought, now you have space to replace that with
Mhm.
another thought. And that's where I do that. I change the way I look at things and I make it something positive.
Mhm.
So, for example, I might say, oh, wow, I've got so many things to get done today on a tight deadline. I don't know if I'm going to get it all done. Negative, right? I don't know if I can do it. Well, I'm blessed that I have so much that I have to do. So
Mm.
let's see what we can do.
Yes.
And I
Same
think
thing with one
everybody can,
modality, so that all the other modalities fall in line.
yeah,
Yeah.
you change one, you change them all.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
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 And I think everybody can relate to that. Is we do have those feelings, but you have those doubts that you can do something, and just turn it around and say, well, life is happening for you, so you're blessed to have this opportunity in your life, because a lot of people don't have it.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. True. Very true. Especially in the state in that our world is. It doesn't mean that we have to be in it as collectively, but there are a lot of people, like you say, that are out there, and they're just existing, because they have not connected to the things that you're talking about, speaking of.
Yes, yeah, and being grateful too. That's another thing. Is you do your journaling, whether it's at last thing at night or first thing in the morning. You write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. I work on doing that at the end of the night before I go to bed. I'll say, okay, what happened today that I can be grateful for?
Mhm.
And if anybody ever says, well, I had nothing happen today to be grateful for, well, you got up, you're breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And
you
like
can
you
start
said,
there.
there is going through something way worse than you could probably imagine.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure you even see that in when you get into business and you talk to people about where they're going, what they got going on, and where they want to go. You probably see them and meet them in a state of well, God, that word escaped me. Desperation, where Joe, can you help me?
Yeah.
So
Yes. And And that's where I love doing the coaching and training, because people do reach out. Well, we have a conversation and we talk about it, and they say, oh, I have a realtor who I'm working with, and their problem was they just couldn't understand how other agents were just getting all these appointments and they were struggling and couldn't get them.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically just asked them, I said, so do you think you need some help in that to, maybe discover why there's a difference like that? Well, I don't know, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And just having that conversation, listen to what their problems are, I can offer a solution. Let's talk about it. We have an initial chat, and I'll be the first to say, if we're not a good match or good personality wise or whatever, we don't line up, I'm not going to want to work with you. And I don't want you to have to work with me. I might find somebody that we don't quite jive, but I believe that they would get along really well with you. I'm going to refer them to you. I'm not going to force them into my mold, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
there's no win there. It may be a win for you, but it's not a win-win-win, because like you said, that person or you, if you're uncomfortable, that there's no win there, and we want to win that's why we do the work we do.
Yes. And I love that you said that win-win-win, because you want it to be a win for that person, because they're the ones who want the help. I find when I find it's a win for me, my win is watching that person become more successful. That's my win.
Knowing it's bigger than yourself.
Right. And then everybody else wins because they benefit from that person being the better, whatever they are, whatever it is they're doing.
I love the way you bring that in. I hope you guys are taking notes, because this is good. Yes, Joe. I love that. I love how you connected that. You run that back full circle. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And, you mentioned a few minutes ago about some people just get up and they go through the motions every day and they just kind of exist. They don't really live. And Wayne Dyer wrote a book and said, actually, I believe it's his daughter co-wrote the book with him. And it was Don't Die with Your Music Still in You.
I like that. Don't die with your music still in you.
You could Google that. I believe that's the title of the book.
Okay.
And it's fantastic, because it just says that we all have some message in us. That's why we're here. And it's unique from everybody else's message, because no two people have had the same experiences in life. Maybe similar, but not exactly the same. And what is it? What is your message? I mean, that goes back to finding out your why, your purpose in life.
Yes.
And again, for the people who are concerned about that or getting to an upper age like I am, I didn't realize this till I was in my 60s.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Joe. I think that is something that will help so many, because I will be transparent. Me, myself, I will be 54 next month. And I found myself from 50, when I hit 50, seeing that thing like you were saying, okay, I've lived this life in action mode, probably by the seat of my pants. Even though I gained some things, where was I now? What is it too late for me to step into my purpose? Like, what do I give back? Because I feel like life is a test, but we all have the answers to each one of those tests within us. And, piggyback on what you just said. So thank you for being transparent to let us all know, because you do hear the stories about Colonel Sanders, and other ones that have come before us and were successful. But sometimes people need to see someone that they see him now, but they see you and I as we still continue to build from what now finding that purpose. Does that can you relate with that?
Oh, exactly. There's no doubt about it. And that's what I did personally, and I believe everybody does when they really find out their true purpose, is you look back in your life and you say, all these experiences I've had, did I grow from them? Did I do anything positive with them, the results? Or did I just exist and I'm an actor in the play, but I'm, an extra in the movie, not one of the stars of the show. And yeah, it's hard to put into words, honestly. But you do need to take time to reflect on yourself and ask yourself, why did this happen to me? And what can I learn from it? And when you can start to put that together, because I'm not going to lie, most of my life, I just went with the flow every day. I mean, like, okay, that's what happened today. And well, today was a bad day. And then there's another, oh, today was a great day. And that was it. It was just a day. And I didn't put it all together and learn from it. My problem was, well, I don't know if it's a problem, but my situation was I never reached out for a coach, a mentor, a guide, somebody like that. I didn't have many of those in my life, if any, really. And I have since reflected back, and I did actually have some in my life. I just didn't know it.
You didn't recognize them.
I didn't recognize them, nor did I ask them.
Quality questions.
Yeah, just a quick example. My best friend growing up, his dad, he had a successful business. He owned a car dealership, but he had a ritual every day. He had a routine. And my frustration growing up is I always wanted to at least be comfortable, not maybe rich, but at least be comfortable, not have to worry about money and things. And that was my drive that kept me going. And yet I never once asked his dad, what was his routine? How can I become successful like you? Just as an example. There are other examples. You can get it from spiritual leadership. Do you actually sit down and talk to your pastor on a one-on-one? I mean, my experience, I grew up Irish Catholic and never sat down with the priest really and had those conversations, or anybody. It didn't even have to be a priest, could be anybody that's got some good, strong traits, character, that sort of thing. So that's getting a little off on a tangent there, but
no, but thank you for sharing. Thank you, because I'm quite sure somebody got a nugget out of that. I know. I did. So
good. But the point is, don't be afraid to ask those around you. What is the saying? If you're the most successful person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. That's something you guys definitely should note down. Yes. Yeah. If you are the most successful in that room, you are definitely in the wrong room. And I'll even give it to being the most smartest in the room. Because, some people come in with their, their knowledge and I know. And when you say, I know, now you have told your subconscious and unconscious mind that there's no need for us to listen to this. So yes, that's definitely a saying that you need to note down and take it. I would advise you to take it down in the note.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's where, when I reflected, I realized things happened for me, not to me, because most of my life, I wanted to be the best one in the room. That's the room I went into. And yet when I look back on it, I didn't really grow from that. All I did was, it was my ego. I was just showing off. Which reminds me of another quote of Wayne Dyer's. I believe he's the one who first said it. Ego is an acronym for edging God out.
Ooh, now that is powerful. You guys, please take note of that. Ego is an acronym for edging God out, and that we do not want to do. He needs to be the guide and the lead of all.
Yeah, we want to be connected to spirit, and God can be different for everybody.
Yes, please, yes.
But whatever it is, like personally, I feel the universe is just, we're all connected energetically. We're all part of the same being. My belief is, God isn't up there. God's right here.
Yes, please. Thank you for saying that.
We're made in his image, and that's what that means. Yeah.
We are vessels, and he's put a little piece of him in all of us. Yes.
And actually, I even turn that around and say, we are him, because we're each part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where that connection comes in. And energetically, we're all connected. And for people that don't believe that, I got a couple of real good examples. Have you ever been thinking about somebody you hadn't thought about in a while? And all of a sudden they call you and you say, wow, I was just thinking about you.
Yes. Yes. It happened to me, as a matter of fact, yesterday.
Did it really?
Yes.
Wow. How did that come about?
I was actually sitting thinking about a friend that I hadn't spoke to in a while. But they could actually give me some insight on some projects that I'm working on. And lo and behold, they text me like out of the blue, like, hey, you were on my mind. I was thinking about you. What you up to?
There you go. Yes.
I'll even go as farther. Look at you and I. We both have on lavender this morning. And I promise you guys, me and Joe had no conversation about this. We set the appointment and we both came in ready to pour out. And we noticed right when we were getting ready to start, Joe pointed it out. So there's another one right there, Joe.
Now let's take that one step further. Was there any meaning behind you wearing that color today?
It's a color of strength and loyalty, and that's what I come with today, is being loyal to my call, and then the strength of coming in to be able to have the courage to be able to sit and have these conversations to share with so many.
And see, similarly with me, mine is all about when you're in integrity and you're at peace. And I find lavender to be a very peaceful color.
Like that. Yes,
as you said, it represents royalty or power, but in a good way, power, like leadership, servant leadership power.
Of service.
Yes, exactly. Where you can be an example for others instead of being an authoritative figure to others, so to speak. Yes. And plus, we're coming into spring, and I just like spring colors, and and when you get to wear these pastel shades, men especially, it's not every day, but I don't mind doing it, and I actually get a lot of compliments on it.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. You did a post not too long ago on Facebook. For those of you, Joe does a little segment pretty much every day right now.
At least I try a couple of times a week, at least.
A couple of times a week. But on one of them, he spoke to, our men getting in touch with that soft side of themselves and knowing that it's okay. And what touched me about that is, you all know that I am a true advocate for the generations that are coming, because they need a light, and we are that light. Together we illuminate. So I think about so many of these suicides and self-suicide, and then murder suicide that has happened, and the rate is rising. So when Joe said that, when you spoke of that, you wearing this color, and you like the compliments, but a lot of men won't do that, because society has put out so many times that if you do that, you're soft, or you like men, or however they want to put it, they put it out there. And it's gotten our men, I feel like, in a place, and I'm not a man, don't know this, but this is my perception of the things I've seen and bring together. It's gotten us to the point where the men, they don't know how to connect to that side, or they are afraid to connect to that side, and fear of judgment. And I know you said in this segment that you wanted to come up with a platform so that men could come in and share and be able to maybe come in contact with that side of themselves, or help them in that guide. Absolutely. So is that still something that is on your table to do?
Oh, yeah.
Author on this book, which I do want to touch on that as well.
Sure.
But please tell us more about that, because this is so important in this day and time for our young men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And not so young.
Older, I mean, men in general.
Yeah. And but not so young men, right?
In order for us to get to the young men, you're right, we have to start with the older side of it, and build that bridge to gap them together.
Be that servant leadership. Yeah.
Yes.
Matter of fact, my life changed dramatically last year, or at least my why, my purpose, my goal.
Okay.
I believed I was supposed to give back by training other younger people to be better salespeople because I was a very successful salesperson.
Mhm.
I was at an event and I was asked to get up on stage and I was asked to come from the heart and what I was feeling in my heart. It was a long process. It's in the book. It's what I write about in the book, actually. And that book, by the way, should be coming out in about a month or so, the end of March, early April. And anyway, I found out that I am very much in touch with my feminine side. Didn't quite realize it, but it came to fruition. So I gave a talk on it at an event in Vegas. I said, you know what? Something just came to me one day. I woke up inspired, in spirit. And I had this talk all set for how to make people more successful in sales. And something in my head, my subconscious, God, whatever you want to say, it just said, no, that's not the message you're going to give. This is a message you're going to give. So I rewrote my talk in very short order. And that was just a couple of weeks before the event, which, you know, you usually want to have this down about a month ahead of time. Anyway, gave the talk and got fabulous results. I had men in tears coming up to me and thanking me for saying that and sharing it. And the message basically is men in general, now you can never say absolute, but at least my environment, my map of the territory was men are stoic, men are powerful. We got to show strength. We can't show weakness. We can't cry on each other's shoulders like women would do when they're upset. That's for women. Okay. The women do the crying. The men, you know, we're protectors and all that. And I now realize that we need to open up more and share our emotions because the depression rate has accelerated rapidly, especially in the last 4 or 5 years with COVID. And suicide rate, as you mentioned earlier, is shot way up. All the negative parts are way up. And a lot of this is coming from, because I've talked to men individually, it's coming from the fact that they can't express their emotions, their feelings, their true feelings.
So would you say can, or they don't know how?
They cannot, and they feel they cannot, and they should not, because it'll show weakness. And as you say, oh, you're soft, you're a girly guy, you know, whatever it might be. And the other part of that I didn't realize, that I discovered too, because women come up and said this, I said, oh, Joe, you have to get this message out there. It says men need this. And us women want the men to have that message too, because we want them to show their feelings. Yeah. And like, really? I thought you wanted men to be, you know, strong and the leader. And said, no, we want them to have, you know, cry at the movie and all that and those sort of things. And, you know, not all the time, but at least open up more and share. And you know what? We're all human. And we're all the same, whether it's a male body that you're in, a female body. We all have both sides, that masculine and feminine. And when you can bring them into balance, it is so powerful. And I know that because I did that before I went out and tried to talk about it. But now that is basically, that's kind of a running theme throughout my coaching programs is, and I do want to get out there and speak, especially to men's groups. So if anybody knows a men's group that's looking for speakers, I'm happy to come in and give a talk on it. And a lot of it has to do with keeping your ego in check and letting your spirit rise and come out. So that, and when you do that, you become a shining example to others.
Yes, I love it, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Joe, we've talked about the book and spoke about the book a little. So tell us the title of this book. We never said the title.
That's right. It's called Ignite Impact.
Ignite Impact.
Yes. And I believe it's 26 authors who have all come together, successful people from all over the world. And were asked to write a chapter of something in their life that gave great impact, either to yourself or to others. But as I say, if it impacts one, it impacts the other.
Yes.
You can't separate that.
Yes.
And so that's where my story, I talked about how when I was on stage at this event, I was pulled up on stage from the audience And you talk about things meant to be. This was obviously meant to be. And it was like God saying, okay, this is where you're going to realize your message is not what you thought it was. And this is the message I want you to get out. So it was extremely powerful moment for me. And like I said, that's exactly what I talk about in the book. And it also goes into, it'll start out with that and then go into my background, how I got to that point. And like what we talked about today. Yes. And so then we bring it back to the end and how you do it. And really, if I had to have a closing message for us, I would say, be who you are at your essence. Your true essence. You. And the example I use in the book is me as a 6-year-old. Up until I was 6 years old, I didn't know trouble. I didn't know negativity. I didn't know bad things because you lived at home. Back when I grew up, you didn't go to school till you were 6. Now I think they start at 6 months. But anyway, I was at home. I had that loving, protective household. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked. And, you know, you had that safety, that comfort. And then when you go to school, all of a sudden you start getting conditioned into society, and there are kind of rules and guidelines you got to go by, and you basically have to conform. And that wasn't it wasn't along the same lines of the way I thought. I thought just love and hug everybody and it's a joy fest, you know. But other people didn't see things that way, and you know, you get laughed at and whatnot and picked on. So I closed that off. I locked that me away. And I became the person that I thought everybody else wanted me to be, not who I was at my true essence. And that's where I believe my whole life started to go not in the best way. I mean, I had a good life. I had a lot of great times, a lot of fun.
Right.
It could, looking back, it could have been better. But then you got to look at the realistic side. Well, all that happened to bring you to where you are right now.
Yes.
Otherwise, be right here, right now.
Yes. Oh, Joe, thank you for sharing that. That's an amazing, and I cannot wait to read the book. I'm looking very much so forward to reading the entire book, but especially your chapter in the book. So you guys, we're going to ask Joe to reiterate what your leading message is with us again.
I would just, like I just said, be yourself, be you. And as one guy I heard say one time, I know a lot of people have said it, says, be you, everybody else is taken.
I love that. I love that. Be you, everybody else is taken.
And just to let you know on the book, I will let you know when that comes out. And if you want to share it with your audience, you know, the link to it or whatever, they can download it. And I've read we've already had the last edit, and the book was sent to us just as a PDF, and the whole book was there. And I've read, not all of it, I've read about 4 different stories. I mean, they're all almost bringing you to tears. And it's amazing how similar the stories are in a lot of ways, as far as how we got to where we are.
Ignite the impact.
Yes, ignite impact.
Okay, ignite impact, you guys. I will definitely get the information for you as soon as this is. But at the end of our lovely talk with Joe, know to stay and watch those credits. This will show you how to get in touch with Joe if you are so interested in any service that Joe offers, because we are here to be of service. I'm going to lean in right now with you guys and say to you that each and every day that you get up, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to be the you that you're supposed to be. Sometimes we get in situations where we don't know which way to go or what to do. In those times, take that time. Find someone, whether it's your mom, your dad, or it's a person that you trust, a coach, a mentor. It could be a therapist. Either way it goes, make sure you air it out. Because when we don't air it out, it sits here, it grows, it manifests into things that sometimes can get out of your control. And you get them back but it's hard to get them back. Not saying it's easy, but when you air it out, it's just a little bit better. So you do me and Joe a favor. Share this. Let's get this as far as we can and look forward to seeing Joe in many, many more places as he airs it out to help you, me, and all others involved. Thank you, as always, for joining us here at Airing It Out. And remember, I love you, Joe love you, but you love you too. And know your creator loves you best. And we'll see you the next time on Airing It Out with Fuller. Thank you, Joe, for being with us.
It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, Latanya.
Thank you. And we want you to come back here now. You got to come back.
Sure. You know what? You know how to get in touch with me.
We've all started to read this. We need you to come back.
And anybody wants to reach out and connect with me, I'm happy to chat with them.
And remember, we will put Joe's things at the his contact information at the end of this lovely video with him. Thank you again. Enjoy.